Donald Trump indicted again. Just like the last one, this one is about him contesting the results of the 2020 election. And it is largely based on a Georgia state law against racketeering, a law typically used to target mobsters. Prosecutor Fani Willis alleges that Trump's comments, public and private, that he had actually won Georgia's electoral votes, that ballots were fraudulently cast for Joe Biden, that election officials had allegedly manipulated votes in favor of Joe Biden, and more, were all part of a criminal scheme by Trump and his cronies to steal the election. She also zeroes in on Trump's efforts to get Vice President Mike Pence to go along with a proposal devised by Trump's attorneys to swing the election in his favor after the vote. The plan, laid out in a memo written by attorney John Eastman and another lawyer, both of whom are now indicted, suggests that Team Trump could get Mike Pence to disregard the electoral votes in several swing states and to instead recognize so-called fake or alternate slates of electors from such states that would then cast their electoral votes for Trump instead of Biden. The rationale being that the actual votes coming out of those states were allegedly not to be trusted, and therefore the real winner, Trump, was entitled to the support of the electors. This is also part of Jack Smith's January 6th indictment that came down earlier this month. As expected, Willis casts certain phone calls as criminal as well, including one on January 2nd, 2021, in which Trump spoke to Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger, along with 8 others who were on the call, and said the following.
What are we going to do here, folks? I only need 11,000 votes. Fellas, I need 11,000 votes. Give me a break.
Though this is the sentence that has made news for 2 years as alleged proof positive that Trump was behaving criminally, it's not anywhere close to the focus. I don't even think it's mentioned in Fani Willis's indictment. This is that, because if you read the whole thing, if you listen to the whole transcript between Trump and these 9 others on the phone call, you can hear that he's basically saying the reason he chose 11,000 and change is because that's how much he lost Georgia by. And he's saying there was huge fraud in this vote. It's not true, but it's what he was saying. So he was saying you don't have to do this exhaustive representation, or this exhaustive look or investigation into all the votes. Once I get to 11,750 or whatever it was, we're good. But he wasn't saying go make up votes. He was saying there's been massive voter fraud. You only have to look until you find me the number that would put me over the top, and then I will stop contesting. And she thinks that was a crime. She thinks the follow-up comments on that call, which she does zero in on, were a crime, including this comment.
We won very substantially, Georgia. You even see it by rally size, frankly. We have at least 2 or 3, anywhere from 250 to 300,000 ballots were dropped mysteriously into the rolls. Much of that had to do with Fulton County, which hasn't been checked. We think that if you check the signatures, a real check of the signatures going back in Fulton County, you'll find at least a couple of 100,000 of forged signatures of people with who have been forged, and we are quite sure that's going to happen.
Okay, he's saying, we think, this is our opinion, you should check. It's a crime, according to her. These are just a few examples of the behavior Fani Willis, an elected Democrat prosecutor, says amounted to a criminal attempt to unlawfully change the outcome of the 2020 presidential election. In all, there are 13 counts against Trump, including violation of the Georgia, this is a state case, remember, it's important, and we'll get to why, of the Georgia RICO statute, that's the racketeering count, as well as solicitation of violation of an oath by a public officer, and several alleged conspiracies, including to commit the impersonation of a public officer, to commit forgery, to commit false statements, and to commit filing false documents. All those revolve around the facts that I just laid out for you from the indictment. 18 others have also been indicted. 18 men and women who assisted Trump in these efforts, lawyers, alternate electors, people who arranged phone calls for Trump to state election officials in swing states other than Georgia, a publicist, I could go on. They're all accused of assisting Trump in this alleged corrupt conspiracy and also face their own allegations of misconduct, including the unlawful breach of election equipment in Georgia and elsewhere. This is based on Trump's allies pursuant to a plan allegedly hatched by Rudy Giuliani to access the voting machines and voter data after the election. They were allowed into a facility in a Trump-friendly Georgia county to do this, to kick the tires of the Dominion voting machines by Trump-friendly election supervisors, one of whom is also now indicted. Now, the case has been assigned to Judge Scott, I don't know if it's McAfee or McAfee, but he was appointed to the bench 6 months ago by Georgia's Republican Governor Brian Kemp. The prosecutor, Fani Willis, said last night she hopes to try this thing within the next 6 months, notwithstanding the fact that it apparently took her 2.5 years to prepare her case. Prep time for me, but not for thee, it would appear. Listen.
I am giving the defendants the opportunity to voluntarily surrender no later than noon on Friday, the 25th day of August, 2023. I don't have any desire to be first or last. I want to try him and be respectful for our sovereign states. We do want to move this case along, and so we will be asking for a proposed order that occurs a trial date within the next 6 months. Do I intend to try the 19 defendants in this indictment together? Yes.
So you may have heard me talk about COVID tax relief now for a while. There might be money available for you and your business right at this moment. It's not a loan. You don't have to pay it back. Listen up. Instead, government funds are already set aside meant to reward companies with 2 or more employees who stayed open during COVID. If you did the tough thing during COVID and you paid your employees during that pandemic, then you might qualify for up to $26,000 per employee at covidtaxrelief.org. The program's complicated, but no one knows more about it than the CPAs and tax experts at covidtaxrelief.org. You pay nothing up front. They do all the work and then share a percentage of the cash they get you. Businesses of all types, including nonprofits and churches, can qualify, even those who took PPP loans, and even if you had increases in your sales. Let covidtaxrelief.org help get you up to $26,000 per employee. Visit covidtaxrelief.org. That's covidtaxrelief.org, covidtaxrelief.org. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.